Hi everyone, here is episode 2 reading story. So this will go with the Tuesday circle time video. And the story that we have for you today is Muncha, Muncha, Muncha. This story is about 3 little rabbits that get into a garden and they try to eat all the food. Muncha, muncha, muncha. This is the front, the spine, and the back. All right, you guys ready? For years, Mr. McGreedly dreamed of planting a garden. He dreamed of getting his hands dirty, of growing yummy vegetables, and of gobbling them all up. So there he is. But he never once tried it until this spring, said Mr. McGreedly. This spring, by golly, I'm going to plant a garden. So he hoed and he sowed and he watched his garden grow. Lettuce, carrots, peas, tomatoes. Yum, yum, yummy, said Mr. McGreedly. I'll soon fill my tummy with crisp, fresh veggies. But one night when the sun went down and the moon came up, 3 hungry bunnies appeared. Tippy, 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 pat. Muncha, muncha, muncha. They're eating it all up. Oh, look at his face. The next morning when Mr. McGreedly saw his gnawed sprouts, he was angry. So he built a small wire fence all around his vegetable garden. There, he declared, no bunnies can get into my garden now. You think that will work? But the sun went down and the moon went up, and tippy, tippy, pat. Spring girl, tut, dash, dash, dash. Muncha, muncha, muncha. Got over it. The next morning, when Mr. McGreedly saw his nibbled leaves and his gnawed sprouts, he was really angry. So he built a tall wooden wall behind a small wired fence all around his vegetable garden. He huffed. Those floppy ears will never get over it. No bunny will get into my garden now. Look at that wall. Do you think that will work? Let's see. And the sun went down and the moon came up, and tippy, tippy, pat. Dig, scrumble, scratch, scratch. Spring, hurdle, dash, dash, dash. Muncha, muncha, muncha. They still got over it. Oh, look at that. He's really angry. The next morning when Mr. McGreedly saw his chewed stems, his nibbled leaves, and his gnawed sprouts, he was really angry. So he made a deep wet trench outside the tall wooden wall behind the small wired fence all around his vegetable garden. Ha! He snorted. Those pufftails can't get under it. They can't get over it. No bunny can get into my garden now. There's no way. And the sun went down and the moon came up, and tippy, tippy, pat. Dive, paddle, splash, splash, splash. Dig, scramble, scratch, scratch, scratch. Spring, hurdle, dash, dash, dash. Muncha, muncha, muncha. They still got in there. The next morning when Mr. McGreedly saw his chomped blossoms, his chewed stems, his nibbled leaves, and his gnawed sprouts, he was furious, so angry. So he hammered and blocked, sewed and stacked, drilled and filled, and trapped and locked. And he built a huge, enormous thing before the deep, wet trench outside the tall wooden wall behind the small wired fence all around his vegetable garden. I've outsmarted those twitch whiskers for sure, he exclaimed. They can't get through it, they can't get under it, and they can't get over it. No bunny, no way, no how can get into my vegetable garden now. Check that out. There's no way. But look, now it's hard to see. They're watching. And the sun went down and the moon came up. Tippy, 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 stop. Uh-oh. The 3 hungry bunnies looked and smelled and touched the huge, enormous thing in front of them, and tippy, tippy, pat. The bunnies hopped away. They couldn't get in. The next morning, when Mr. McGreedly saw his untouched vegetables, he was happy. Get a little closer. I beat those bunnies. He hopped and did a jiggly wiggly victory dance. Then he climbed over, jumped across, squeezed between, and crawled under until he reached his vegetable garden. Ah, sighed Mr. McGreedly. At last, smacking his lips, he picked and pulled up lettuce, carrots, peas, tomatoes, and with his basket overflowing, he reached inside for something yummy. Do you see anything? Who's that? What are those? Muncha, Muncha, Muncha. They still got in. They snuck in the basket. The end. There he is, Sharon.